All right. Appreciate that, everybody. Good to see everyone. So on the agenda today, have some announcements. We have an event coming up. And as Shiri mentions, some new committers on the project. Have a couple recent releases to quickly tell you about. Then a presentation by AWS. Then Tomasz is going to talk to us about implementation of compliance tests. And then we have a number of discussion items. So without further ado, we have an event coming up September 12th at 6 p.m. We have an official announcement forthcoming with a meetup link, but for now, just please be aware that this will be at the astronomer office in the Embarcadero in San Francisco. We expect a packed agenda with excellent speakers, food and beverage, and as always, great discussion of the spec and what's coming in the project. So this will coincide with Airflow Summit. If you're in the area or if you're coming for the summit, please join us. More info to come about this. Welcome and thank you to our two new committers on the project, Jens and Shiri. Congratulations and thank you for all that you're doing to advance the spec and get the word out, advocate for OpenLineage in the data space. We appreciate all you do. So if you see them in Slack, please say thanks. We have some new integrations. Trino and, as you know well now, Amazon DataZone are in the project. If you are working on a new integration, please don't be shy. Let us know if you'd like help getting an integration started. Let us know that too, and we can put you on the ecosystem page. There have been a couple recent releases since our last meeting. 1.19, I won't read the release notes, but a highlight here is Kafka streaming source support in the Spark integration. Thank you to all the contributors. We also released 1.18 and a number of additions, especially in the Spark integration, and a number of fixes as well, mainly in Spark. And a highlight in 1.18, improved Spark extension interfaces. So you can be assured that you'll have a much better experience if you were using those interfaces before. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to the Amazon folks. So I'll let you share your own screen.
Sounds good. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks for including us in this call. It's we've been waiting to come and talk to you all. So Amazon DataZone, I'm not sure how many of you are aware of it. It's a new service on AWS, and it's a data management service that helps the producers who own the data to share data across a wider organization and have the consumers be able to, probably I should use this slide. Give me a second. Yeah, so Amazon DataZone sits in between the producers and consumers. The whole goal for this service to enable data sharing across the organization, give autonomy to all these data producers to say, hey, I have this data, I want to share it with you all. And of course, the data consumers will be able to find it, search for it. And then if they think that is the right data that they want to go subscribe to, they request access, which again goes back to the producers to actually give them access or not. So this service provides the handshake between the data producers and consumers. And as part of the rich experience of being able to search and understand data, we recently announced Data Lineage. And what we have built, it's out in preview now. So we are still having customers try it out, give us feedback while we march towards GA. So today, what we built is a feature. As you see, the screenshot actually is showing you all the different aspects of the asset browsing experience, where when a user goes and searches for an asset, they get this details page where they get to see the business metadata. They also get to see the schema and also the descriptions of the columns, and also some of the tags that have been attached to columns to mark sensitivity or such. And then recently we also announced a feature to add filters to limit what kind of data the consumers can see. So the producers can actually create a set of filters and limit access to these subscribers requesting access to data. Data quality is another feature in this experience where users are able to not just see the details of a particular asset. And when I say asset in DataZone, it means any type of asset. It can be a table, view, a dashboard. It can support many types of assets. And so as a user is browsing, we want the user to understand all aspects of the asset before they make the decision to use that data for the analysis. So data quality, if it is available, it is surfaced as part of the asset details, where they can go understand the quality scores for the table as well as the columns. And then comes lineage, and that's a feature that helps the consumers understand where the data is coming from, and is it even give them an idea of whether it's the right data for them to even use. So as part of this enriched experience, we are leveraging something that you've built, OpenLineage. So we are adhering to that standard and enabling our customers to capture those events in DataZone, and then they can visualize it as you see it here. So what we announced as part of preview is API driven. So there are two aspects to this graph that you see here. One is what happens within DataZone, and the other events are what's happening outside of DataZone. Since DataZone provides this handshake between the producer and consumers, we thought it's imperative for us to show, okay, how the data is moving even within DataZone. So if a user goes and sees a particular asset, they'll also be able to see which other teams are consuming this asset, to give them the confidence to say, hey, these other teams are using it, so maybe this is the same data I need to use too. So it gives that transparency for the data, so the end user gets a more enriched knowledge about the data and also what DataZone provides. And those are indicated by these colored icons that you see here. So it kind of gives the differentiation of what these nodes are and where it's coming from and what the other nodes are. And these other upstream or even maybe downstream nodes are the custom nodes that the users can create. Today it's API driven, and the events are captured in OpenLineage format, and DataZone understands it and then builds this graph to provide that end-to-end visibility. As part of this feature, we are also supporting column lineage. So a user is able to go to a particular column and navigate the graph to see how the column has changed upstream or downstream from usage perspective. From use cases point of view, the 4 core use cases that we are trying to target and address are, of course, the provenance of data. Second is impact analysis. And this is where the handshake that DataZone provides is very important, because for a data engineer, when they're making data changes to a data pipeline, with this view, they can actually see who are the consumers of that data. And then, based on the usage of how the data is consumed by these end users, the data engineer can actually make or understand the impact of the change that they're planning to make and take some proactive actions so the downstream processes do not break, and they can, give heads up or, keep the communication open with these consumers, since they know who they are, and make the change as needed. The third use case, which kind of helped us make it a little bit more feature rich, is the troubleshooting scenario. So that's why we actually introduced the column lineage as well, because if if someone from the data team wants to actually go troubleshoot and understand any problem, having that information about the column lineage is also important to see how data has changed, where the data is coming from, where it's getting aggregated. So to give that comprehensive view is where we added a lot of features visually. So the user can use the single pane of glass to actually go figure out what's happening across the tool. And of course, from governance perspective, we do understand we're just scratching the surface here. But take a scenario where a data steward needs to has shared a report to the auditors, and she's been asked a lot of questions about how the data has transformed, where it has changed, and how it's moving. The goal is for the steward to actually go and understand all of that information that's that from this one place, and be able to respond to those auditors in a timely manner. And here I would like to point out that DataZone is a service that helps sharing of data across many accounts. And so this can come from different teams. So when a customer has DataZone deployed in a very complex environment, we envision this graph will get as complex as we've seen in many other tools to show actually the movement of data that happens outside of DataZone as well as inside. With this, I would like to hand it off to Leo. He had a quick demo to show how this actually looks and feels, and then probably we can open up for questions.
Perfect.
Leo, are you ready to take over? Okay, let me start.
Yeah, please. Thank you, Priya. Okay, let me see. Oh, almost there. I don't know why it's not allowing me to share my screen.
User permissions in macOS.
Let me see. I just switched computers, so that may be why. Give me a second. Yeah, you're totally right. Perfect. Sorry about that.
Did you drop? Looks like you dropped.
I think you need to restart it to have the permissions take effect.
All right, while we are waiting for maybe we'll open up for questions then.
Yeah, I have a question. Maybe as someone who maintains like those core libraries around spec and general usage, was there anything, any like feature that you particularly liked or disliked, or had a problem with, as someone who implements the OpenLineage specification as a consumer from scratch?
Okay, the Leo's back. Yeah, I think to just briefly answer, I think we can answer in detail later, but I think what we really like is the extensibility that OpenLineage provides, and the amount of information that can be sent through these events framework. It's pretty neat that we were able to leverage pretty well.
Thanks.
All right, off to you, Leo. You there?
I think we don't have your voice now.
But we do have screen.
Check the microphone source. Is it?
Can you see? Can you hear me now?
Now
Yep,
it works.
yep.
Okay, bad day to change computers. Okay, okay. So, well, demo time. As Priya mentioned, DataZone offer different information about the data assets. So here you can see the view of one of those data assets. You can see business metadata, schema, asset filters to enforce access control at the column and row level if you want to. Data quality scores that are coming from GlueDQ mostly, and lineage. Okay, our main topic today. Okay, so here, this is very special because this lineage diagram is coming from an asset that was created by the Glue job. Okay, we know that a lot of customers, they have been waiting to have a way to create a lineage diagram from Glue. This is the answer for that. Okay, so here you can see three simple nodes. Okay, let me start from left to right. So here you have the crawler, the first one, that we run in order, okay, to create the data as the Glue table. Sorry. Okay. Here you can see the details about the execution of the glue crawler, how long it took, if it was complete or it fails, okay? More information, technical information about it, okay? Also, here you have the history of that crawler. You can see every time that it ran. If by any reason it fails, you're going to see it here, okay? Then, if we move on, you have the glue table that was created by the glue crawler. So if you see, the main difference here is that the glue crawler, it has just two tabs, job info and history, because it was a crawler, a job. But in this case, we have an schema. So here you can see all the columns that were created by the glue crawler, okay? And also, again, you have for information about the table, for example, the S3 bucket in which the file is located, okay? And again, you can see the history of the execution of the previous job, okay? So then you have the DataZone asset, okay? It's different from a glue table. This is a DataZone asset. So actually, if you see, the colors are different here. This one was blue, now this is red. It's a way to differentiate them. So here you can see information about the asset itself, okay? For example, the type, in this case, a glue table, and so on. Again, the schema and the history. Very simple, right? But what happens if I want to go deeper? I want to go back. I want to get information about the origin of this table. So for that, I can click this 2 arrow icon that you can see here. And I'm going to click it several times because I want to show you the full diagram, okay? So if I go here, you can see a full diagram, lineage diagram of this data asset, okay? Sorry that if you cannot see it, I cannot zoom in more. But here you have the first table that we use to create this data asset called inventory, okay? Also, you have the second one is a job, a crawler. Again, the table that was created by that glue crawler. And the thing that I want to show you here is the node related to the glue job. Okay, so here you have all the information about the glue job, the status, if it completed or failed, the duration of the glue job. You have here the run ID and also the code, okay, that we use to run the job itself. Okay, also you have the history, okay, and you have here the run ID. Okay, so if you want to see the different execution of this job, you can click any of this link and you are going to get that information. Okay, and lastly, here related to this glue job based diagram, you are going to see the schema evolution, how the columns change during the different transformations. So here we start with 4 columns: product ID, store ID, inventory quality, and last updated. And then you can see that after the glue job, the transformation job, from 4 columns, now we're using just 2. Okay, and you can see in this case, it's a very simple example. We had just 1 transformation, but you can keep track of how the columns evolve or change during the execution of the different transformations. Okay, perfect. Another thing that I want to show you is a lineage diagram, but in this case, based on Redshift. Okay, this is another thing that customers has been waiting for. Okay, let me show you very quickly. So here, we have a very simple diagram, similar to the one that I showed you before. One difference here is that you can see that we have these 2 nodes, okay, catalog and publish. Okay, this means that this asset was cataloged inside of DataZone, okay, and after it was documented with business context, business information, it was published, okay, as part of the data catalog. So you can track that lineage as well. In this case, I don't have it for this demo, but you can also see here who is which projects, which DataZone projects are consuming the data, this specific data asset. So you are going to be able to see the diagram lineage also from the consumer point of view. Okay, not only the origin of the data, also who is consuming, again, using DataZone projects, this data asset. Okay. Something that very cool that I want to show you, okay, is that how we create this data asset. So if you see here the diagram, let me put it a little smaller. So you can see that the query that I use to create this table, you can see the insert into whatever that I use in order to create that table. The same with this second source table. Okay, of course, we create tables based on that. Okay, Redshift tables. You can see it here, the schemas. Okay. But something that I really like about this feature is that when you go to the job that we use to create the downstream table, you can see here the query that was used. So if you are using Redshift in order to run transformations and create new tables, you are going to be able to see also the query that was used to create that table. Okay? Of course, you can see the execution history of this job, but now this is a good way for you to understand from where the data is coming for both Redshift and Glue jobs. Okay. If you want to try this, okay, if you want to get familiar how DataZone create these lineage diagrams, we have a GitHub repository, okay, with all the code that we use to collect the metadata from Glue, from Redshift, and so on, and the steps about how to execute them. Okay, I'm going to copy the link in a minute in the chat window, but just to let you know that all the libraries that we use for metadata collection are here. And also, if you want to see a step-by-step guide about how to implement it, you can use, of course, the GitHub repository, but also we publish a blog post that show you a step-by-step how to implement data lineage on DataZone. Here we cover Glue tables, Glue jobs, Redshift tables, and also manage Airflow. Okay, that's another type of diagram that you can incorporate as part of DataZone. Okay. And that's it. That's all that I have for today's demo.
Thanks. I'm taking the role of MC from Michael Robinson. And Michael left, but left also a few questions for you. And one of them was wondering if you were aware of the facet registry, and maybe you will be able to contribute any custom facets that you sent to the registry. And if not, I will link the registry proposal and let you answer.
Priya, you're on mute.
Yeah, we haven't taken a look at it, so we'll take a look at it and we'll let you know. Need to understand what it. So what we are building is, using your existing configurations to build our assets. So we'll take that thought back to the team and see if there's something we can contribute back, for sure.
Another question, and that actually created already extension discussion in chat, was that have you seen a large event, and are you doing something with it? And by large, I mean probably several megabytes. Have you seen those use cases?
Yeah, I think we haven't hit that yet. So curious to see what kind of issues come across.
Yeah, at the moment, we are restricting the event size to 300 kilobyte on the input level. So we haven't we're pretty much not even allowing that large size event yet, but yeah, we could experiment it on our side and see how we could.
From personal experience, there are some extremely large Spark jobs, which might, be able to be used as glue jobs. And sometimes it's not about, OpenLineage, but the job is generally very large. So you have to transmit information about thousands of columns.
So what is the recommendation in such cases? Like, do you already have like customers with similar scenarios, and how did they deal with that? Do they like maybe split the events across, in different chunks and send it as separate events, or is there like such mechanism supported in OpenLineage?
One thing is that you can limit size of some other information that we are sending, mostly around what we call debug facets, such as logical pump facet or unknown entry facet. That allows you to cut the information down by much. Second thing is that we actively restricting some information that we see as not really relevant, but we try to serialize as much metadata so that consumers can do what they want with the data. The philosophy is rather to try to send a lot of metadata rather than just very selected one, and let customers deal with consumers of OpenLineage. Yeah, but this is like a very general topic. What I'm saying is specifically for Spark integration. Rahul asked another question. Is lineage data from Glue collected using Spark OpenLineage, or is there any other way of extracting this info from Glue and directly ingesting it in DataZone?
We are leveraging the OpenLineage Spark listener.
And yeah, actually, that's a really good question, because we kind of wanted to bring this topic of like creating a transport for DataZone, and maybe like having that included in OpenLineage package as well, because we are leveraging the OpenLineage Spark package at the moment, but currently it doesn't have any like transport that supports the SIG-V4 sign, which is for AWS services. So maybe like having a custom transport, or now call it like DataZone transport created, would help us to have a direct integration. And as a part of this effort, like we're also talking to Glue team to maybe have the OpenLineage Spark library loaded into their system as well, which could basically benefit the OpenLineage ecosystem.
What about an easier way of just becoming a producer? And have you considered being able to export the lineage in OpenLineage format? Whether it's having an API that somebody can call and get all the information, or something else.
So DataZone provides a get lineage node API, which can be used for exporting. For now, we are mainly focused on just making sure the model that we have is robust enough to handle many scenarios. So once we cross that, maybe we'll think about having a single API to do the export. But for now, it is still possible with doing some get calls.
And are those in OpenLineage format, the output?
Abel, can you confirm if it's in OpenLineage format or not?
Sorry, I'm missing the exact question. So what's
the get lineage node API, does it? I don't think it responds. I mean, the response is in OpenLineage format, right?
No, not at the moment, but we're also exploring a route, or we're still like having some like brief conversation on maybe having like a get event like type of API where we could export that lineage information in OpenLineage format.
And are you considering some proxy capabilities? So for example, if you have an AWS Glue script that runs, would you be able to send information not just to your internal lineage, but to an outside tool? One of the benefits of the standard format is there may be several tools that can use that information for different purposes.
Right.
Yeah,
we haven't got there.
mean,
definitely we can probably get there. For now, we're just trying to, because it's still a preview feature, right? So we have a lot of work to get that done.
And do you have a list of which technologies it works with? So for example, AWS Glue, you can run it on like Redshift, you can run it on Hive. Is it just Redshift at this point?
So today we are focused on Glue and Redshift. I mean, that's what DataZone does. Like all of these capabilities we build, we make sure there's some level of, integration between these native services. But of course, Lineage is not just about about AWS native services too, right? Like you just pointed out, it's across the ecosystem, and definitely want to expand, but at least we want to make sure that we are able to work internally first and have that handshake and provide the right lineage. I think one of the biggest focus that we've been pretty rooted on is the consistency of lineage nodes. So with these different Spark jobs running, things change so quickly, and when the user is browsing the lineage, we want to make sure the lineage is consistent and accurate so they can rely on it. So that has been the core focus of building this feature. And once we nail this and we are getting good response from customers saying that they're able to use it, then comes all these other capabilities that we can expand further.
Thanks for the discussion.
Priya, can we connect MWAA with DataZone?
NWAA. So we are looking at if we can leverage the Airflow plugin to extend that. So something that we are actually doing a POC on.
Okay, and what are the supported asset types which can be cataloged here?
So the DataZone catalog, as I was saying, it supports tables, views, and also it has a support for custom assets. So those can be cataloged in DataZone.
Okay.
Okay, I think we all have more questions to Priya, but we still have Tomasz' presentation to go through. And Tomasz, do you want to share screen?
Yeah.
Present.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you, team.
Thanks for the discussion and for the presentation, Priya and Leo.
Okay.
Just a quick question, Tomasz. Approximately how long is your presentation?
That is a good question. Wait a second. I'm gonna change the screen because I didn't do any test runs or anything like that. So
I mean, what do you think? 5 minutes to 15 minutes?
10, 15.
Okay.
I would say.
Great. Okay. That's fine. Keep going.
All right. No. Or to wait a second. Which screen do you see?
You can see your Slack.
Yes. Okay. That is not good. Definitely not good. Desktop screen. That should be this. Right now? How about now? You see the presentation?
Yep. It works.
All right. Nice. Okay, so the topic I want to talk about is the implementation of compliance tests. So basically what we want to have is a framework that would give us, would give each consumer or producer the ability to basically make public their capability of, or rather compatibility with OpenLineage. Starting, we will go through what are the expectations, general, producer, consumer expectations, what is the structure of, because we want to do it as a basically repository with defined workflows that can test the compatibility of different consumers and producers. So again, what are the expectations for producers and consumer tests? What will be the structure and what is the workflow? I will try to go through it in a short time, but I don't know how it will go. And everything is basically based on this. I mean, I can link it later. This is a doc with a discussion about the certification process where basically the main ideas are outlined. So, producer use cases for our tests. There are always the general expectations and often the more specific expectations. So basically, we got 3 parts of our, let's say, community. These are people who are vendors and want to make their products compatible with OpenLineage. Users of OpenLineage, not necessarily like any vendors, but maybe somebody who would like to make an integration of some sort. And as developers, so everybody would like some get something different from our tests. So what would vendors expect? They would like to, like, if you are a vendor and you want to participate, let's say, in this endeavor, you would like to the information that you would like to get is are the events you are producing with OpenLineage valid according to our specs? Are they basically OpenLineage format compliant? You would like to know if they are not, what is wrong? Like what is there to fix? And maybe you are producing something that is not globally defined. You would like to know that as well. And you would also like to test like not only if you are compatible with the format itself, but you would like to also present that like there is specific information that you are extracting from your system with OpenLineage. User perspective. So you would like to have an overview. What is compatible with OpenLineage? What can you try to configure? What will work for you? And also you would like to have, like, simply put what is actually tested in those tests if you would like to get in more details. As a developer, you would like to basically check, like OpenLineage developer, you would like to check if there is a new feature, some modifications that you made. Will it work for the producers and consumers that are currently compliant? And additionally to all, so we would like to make it in a way that is easily expandable. So any like new vendor or anyone like that can just like easily join in. There will be not like really low a barrier of entry. So we would like to make the tests runnable on local environment. All of them have a standard structure. All of them provide layman's description, and all of them should produce the standardized report. Going to consumer use cases. If you are a consumer vendor, what you would like to see? You would like to see which versions of OpenLineage you are compatible with, and not only if you are or are you not. You would like to see in more details, more granularity, how are you compliant or not compliant. And that also goes for, of course, producer use cases. You would like to be notified if something worked and doesn't work anymore. For users, you would like to see what maybe the consumer of OpenLineage, or rather like lineage provider, that you would maybe want to try. What version is it compatible with if you are already producing something? And like have a general description of how the OpenLineage information is used by that consumer. For the developers, again, from their perspective, they would like to see what is compliant with their specs. And like if they make some changes to a spec, they would like to have a quick way of knowing about it, and they would like to also know who's responsible for what. General requirements are basically the same. The only thing is that because the consumers like rely on input events, like because producers do not, so they need some input to do their tests. So we would like to have some shared pool that could be used by any consumer that would like to provide their use cases. Okay, how we would like to make it. work. So inside the repository, each so for producers, for a producer side in our repository, for each producer, we would like to make basically one directory, which would contain the test scenarios for the producer, as well as some configuration. So the configuration would be like what will be running the tests, and the scenarios would be the particular test scenarios that would like to test some specific functionality. And each scenario for the basically good descriptions would have the the scenario MD with a description of the scenario that would not be too detailed. That would be just generic descriptions for anybody who was not making this particular scenario, that could easily understand what the scenario is actually testing. Each scenario should provide a list of interested parties in the results. So if we should have a list of the basically people who would like to be notified if something fails in the test, and unified way of running those tests. So basically each scenario would have the same structure. Each of the scenarios would be run in basically the same way. For the consumers, so for the consumers, the difference is this shared pool of events, because we need the input events for, well, generally all the consumers. We would like to make something like separate location for the input events, and each input event would have the event itself, but also would describe the this input set as what data exactly are in this data set. So for example, which input sets, which output sets, maybe which facets are contained here, things like that. And the other one would be the consumers directory, where similarly to producers directory, there would be scenarios for each basically there would be defined all the test scenarios and the general configuration. And once again, the runner configuration, what would be running the tests, basically the custom code for the validator, because in case of the producers, what we would like to get is just output in the form of OpenLineage events, and we would just, we can have expected events defined, and we would just do the comparison. Here we need to take the input events, send them to our consumer, and then check two things. We would need to check the basically if you are getting any errors while ingesting those events, and if not, is the state of the consumer after we send those events exactly what we expect or not. So this would be basically inside this validator. That would be basically what executes that. And inside each test scenario, we would have, again, description of the scenario, but not like inside the input scenario where you would have the description of data, but that would tell more about what do we expect to happen with the consumer. So that description would be more about the validation process, not the input data. And one differentiating thing also would be that each consumer would have this mapping JSON file, and the file would be basically a description of which entity which consumer entity corresponds to which OpenLineage entity. So if you have any facets, how they are mapped into any consumer entities. If you have any core fields, how they are mapped. Okay, and the structure of the workflow that we would like to have is basically to have like the generic part of the workflow that would run each time. That would be something mainly used by CI, and also that would contain those like mini workflows, sub workflows that would run the tests for each consumer or producer, and each of those sub workflows can be run locally. So like they are basically easy to test for new vendors, and they will be like self-contained basically. So there would be run, and the output would be the report, and that's basically all the integration with general workflow that we need. Each workflow could handle different set of triggers. That would basically mean that each time we have a new OpenLineage release or have a new merge to main branch, that would trigger the workflow. Also, if we do like any commit to the workflow itself or to any test scenario, that would also make it run. And also we would have like periodic triggers. So for example, if for producers, we usually can just take basically we can see what are the new releases of their components. For example, I don't know, the new version of Spark. We can check if there's any new version and we can test for that, but it gets more complicated if we are talking about the consumer side, because these are often not like in any release mode, and there should also they would need to have just a periodic check, because we don't have any way of confirming if anything is new or not. And we would like to have the persisted reports, so we can just access them anytime. We would have some way of notifying the people interested in the results. So maybe like emails, messages. Maybe if they are interested in, we could link to get some link to their repo and maybe create issues if some tests are not passing through. And also based on the information we get, we would update the OpenLineage docs and make it like as readable as possible. What are the results, what is compatible and what is not compatible. So that is, as quickly as I could, the overview. I hope that it was not too informationally dense.
Thanks, Tomasz. I think questions can be made and other further clarifications on Slack or GitHub. And we are over the time. But I just want to make one quick maybe announcement or discussion that I would like people to turn into. We want to deprecate support for Spark 2.4 as Spark 4.0 is coming close, and like it was, Spark 2.4 was released first in 2018. And it's giving us much more maintenance burden lately. So if anyone has some large use cases or would like to help with maintaining support for 2.4, we would love to hear you. If not, then thank you for the meeting and see you next month.